We're talking about monogamy. Monogamy has never been an African ancient practice, but today at least 80 to 90% of African countries practice monogamy, and monogamy happens to be the legally accepted type of marriage in most African countries. Why so, you may ask? Because Africa has always been of a polygamous culture right from time. But when we go back into history, we find how monogamy was introduced to Africa and why the current dispensation has come to embrace it as the normative. Monogamy is when one man marries one woman for eternity. At least that's what the concept portrays. But when we look at society at large, we see that that's not what is happening. Oftentimes, these marriages don't last. Oftentimes, these marriages end up in divorce, in abuse, sexually, mentally, physically. There's a lot of abuse that goes on in monogamous marriages. But the initial intention for the introduction of monogamy was that polygyny or polygamy was not working effectively. But in the African culture, it did work effectively. Of course, there's no ideology without a flint of disadvantage. So when you look at monogamy today, most of the reasons why polygamy was discarded or frowned at is actually happening in monogamous marriages currently. The abuses that happened in the polygamous marriage is also happening in the monogamous marriages. So why frown at polygamy? This is part of what we are going to be discussing. Hello everyone, welcome back to Breakage Barriers. My name is Blessing, aka Lady B. This is going to be on an educational level. The origin of monogamy was a conceptual introduction by the ancient Greeks and the ancient Rome. So in Europe, at a time, polygamy was practiced, but the government frowned against it because it was not the culture in Europe. So eventually, politically, monogamy was enforced gradually and it became illegal to practice polygamy. Monogamy became the normative in Europe via political correctness. During that time in ancient Rome and Greek, Christianity was the religion that was practiced, but Christians went through a lot of persecution because, of course, the government always have the upper power over the people. When Christianity eventually was accepted in Europe by the government, especially by the Constantine government, monogamy had to be embraced by the Christian religion. So gradually, as Christianity became acceptable as well in ancient Europe, the monogamous concept of marriage was eventually introduced to the Christian religion. And so the Christian religion was a massive tool that was used to promote monogamy all around ancient Europe. So that became successful, and as Christianity became global as well, the concept of threesome in the marriage was as well used to promote the concept of threesome in the Trinity. Like you have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So what that was meant for was to use the mother, the father, and the child as a threesome that should have an everlasting relationship, just like you have the concept of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit having an everlasting relationship. That was how monogamy came about, and Christianity was the tool used in promoting this concept. So it was widely acceptable by all the cultures Christianity was introduced to. So in ancient Europe, or shall I say the ancient Greek and the ancient Rome, because they were the ones in government in that era, believed that a monogamous relationship helps to combat the competitiveness in a polygamous relationship. Also, that a monogamous relationship helps to keep the offspring, that's the children, safe. And the argument here is that when monogamy is practiced, then the father who provided the seed is able to be close to the offspring, that is the children, is able to be close to the children. So you don't have a father that goes around just spreading its seed all over the place without being responsible for the growth of the child. These are few intentions of a monogamous marriage. And as well, that polygyny was too expensive, in that you have a man who has so many wives. Caring for all these women and caring for all the children can be truly expensive. For that reason, politically in ancient Europe, headed by the Romans and the Greeks, polygamy was frowned at because it was too expensive for the government at that time. So these are the few reasons why ancient Europe was all up for monogamy, which has currently spread all over the world. And people seem to have embraced monogamy as a better choice. But there's always a but, isn't it? Is monogamy actually being practiced, or the intention of monogamy being practiced? When we look around the world today, it seems there's a lot of disadvantages that comes with monogamy as well, because there are a lot of hurdles. People who have come to embrace monogamy do tend to also go through a lot of abuses, mentally, sexually, emotionally. There are some cases where there's battering going on, where a man beats up his wife and the woman end up dying, or vice versa. It does happen to the men as well. So has monogamy actually combat all the disadvantages that comes with polygamy? Has it really? When you look around your society, I'm sure you find the answers to that. And as well, is this monogamy fully being practiced? Because what we see in the current dispensation is that men spend so much money on lavish wedding ceremony, and 2-3 years down the lane, you see these couples are separated or divorced. So all that money has gone into waste. Do monogamous marriage actually last a lifetime as intended? Again, the answer to that is all around you. What we see today being practiced, as opposed to what is intended, is serial monogamy. Oh yes. Where you find a man who marries a woman, they stay together for a certain period of time. Alas, then divorce or separation comes in. They get divorced, and then you see he goes to marry another woman, have children, create a family with that woman, get divorced, go to another woman, and it goes round and round. So it becomes a serial monogamy, having nuclear family scattered all over the place, which brings about irresponsibility and which combats the initial intention of a monogamous marriage, that is the children, protecting the children. So it's the serial type of monogamy that we see all around us is creating children who don't have their fathers actively involved in their lives. And because this is the case, then these children are not complete, because they don't see their fathers, they don't speak to their fathers are not there when they are needed in the lives of these children. It just makes this concept of marriage a disadvantageous concept that spins all around, regardless if it's polygamy or monogamy. With this, I say thank you so much for listening. I'll get to see you in the next video. Do take care now.